Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today I'm going to be talking about OCGN. I'm going to cover everything from technical analysis to news through company presentation and how it plays such a stock. Please make sure to drop a like to this video to help this channel grow. Subscribe and leave your notifications on if you like this video to get more of these stuff. So on the MACD, we get to see that MACD here is curving down negative. It hasn't seen some kind of a reversal here, so that's a little bit of an alarming news. The ADX is sitting at 36 on a downtrend, which supports a very strong downtrend. And then a million percent R is sitting at oversold, so that's a good thing. Momentum here seems to be stabilizing. That's as well good. 10 SMA is above 30 EMA, so that is bullish. Stock price is still above the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA. That is bullish. Although there's two things here that you need to consider, and definitely are a bit more of concern for at least myself. So the stock price is in the trading action zones where reversals are likely between 10 SMA to 30 EMA, but it's dipping very short to there. And that's a bit of a dangerous thing. Once it dips below it, it becomes a little bit hard to see a reversal on there. Stock price here as well. The 50 SMA is climbing up closer towards the 200 SMA. That itself is a sign of a breakthrough, and usually it forms something called a golden star once the 50 SMA crosses the 200 SMA from the bottom. And so that is expected sometime, I would say, end of next week. And that is a sign for a breakthrough, but the other moving averages and technical analysis here looks a little bit bearish on the 1 day. That could be a change of trends. Now, on the 1 hour perspective, a Death Star was met on the 18th, and you get to see that it has actually fell through. Moving averages here look a little bit rough. You get to see a bit of different things. So the stock is still in the trading action zone between the 30 EMA and the 10 SMA stock. So that is a good sign there, but still can see reversals. 30 EMA above 10 SMA is bearish, and the stock price is below the 200 SMA and the 50 SMA, so that's bearish, but above the VWAP, so that's bullish. Now on the ADX, on the 1 hour perspective, all it does say is that it's sloppy movement. 1266 shows no strong indication of the trend on a 1 hour scale. Million percent R is overbought, but it was oversold during the day. Momentum is a bit sloppy, and MACD shows that there is a reversal only on Monday. Well, it's a very much of a short-term reversal on the 1 hour perspective. We get to see here on the moving average band, the stock price, the moving average band here in CN with purple in the middle, it's expected to trade between 50 cents and 55 on the middle and above 61. Now, going on towards Fibonacci retracements, go on for the last bit. Okay, so Fibonacci support at 42 and a resistance at 57. I'm gonna move on a little bit closer towards the 1 hour perspective in a little, but before that, let's try to look in towards where supports are, significant supports. So significant support here would be somewhere around the 45 cents. And then below that, we're seeing the 41 cents as significant support, and then 36 cents. From there, 33 cents, and we're seeing 29 cents. Significant resistances here we're seeing is the 51 cents. Then above that, we're seeing the 55 cents, 58 cents, and then 62 cents, 63 cents. 65 cents, not 63, and then we're seeing above that there's a lot more room to grow around the 75 cents. Once it crosses that kind of 73 to 75 cents, it has a lot of room to grow. Now, on a little bit of a closer scale, let's try to look in terms of trend lines and try to see if that is still holding. So I'm going to take this one as a trend line, and you get to see that it does not hold the trend line. It did break it on the 17th. So the current trend line then would be newly drawn towards today, or sorry, towards the last trading day. So that's not really a trend line. On the 1 hour scale, what we get to see is a little bit something different here. In terms of Fibonacci retracement supports, support of 44, a resistance of 54, and another one of 62, and this bottom support is at 28 cents. Now moving on towards where company insights, institutional value seems to have not touched this one in the last week. Morgan Stanley took a position on the 14th. Vanguard still on there, and a bunch of others, but it seems to be a little bit mixed. BlackRock has a massive position as well, so you used to get to see a bit more bigger names than you would see in some other stocks. Company presentation now. So something that only concerns me is kind of try to identify where the next catalysts are and their pipelines. So in terms of their pipelines, they do have basically a good one going on here. So novel biologic. This one is diabetics, more related than age related uh, pipelines. So you get to see here they're on the preclinical phase. When it goes on to modifier gene therapy platform, they're reaching on a lot of them. 4 of them are reaching on before phase 1, phase 2. So that's PR bomb waiting to happen. And then OCU410 is still going on to preclinical, but it might have a little bit longer time. Now there is another presentation here, another part. So okay, timeline for the OCU400 is phase somewhere around 2021 for phase 1/2. You might hear catalysts about submissions of forms later on in the year. Moving on forward, there's another one here. One presentation that is very significant to me is the near mid term milestones for planned timelines, and a lot of them here are on the second half of 2020. Orphan drug designation for Rio, expected orphan drug designation for PDE, FDA pre IND for MTG, POC study, cell banking, expected orphan drug designated in EMA. So there's a lot of different catalysts coming on for this stock. Now moving on towards one of the latest things that they did receive actually is the FDA orphan drug designation for that's the 4th time they did receive it for the OCU400 gene therapy. And that was way ago, so that was around a week ago. So you get to see that the price already has gone over there. In terms of their 10Q form, which is a quarterly filing, you get to see that they have a really massive loss compared to the previous year, but they have a total revenue here. Well, that doesn't show that they had revenue before, but right now they do have revenue. That's amazing. That shows a strong indication, even though the loss was higher. I know we're talking about 19 cents, which looks lower, but look at the share dilutions per value. The total loss is higher, but it seems that that's net loss to commission stockholders. But the net loss is the same, but the total net loss deemed to dividend related to warrant exchange is a lot higher. But what does that show me here is you got to read between the lines, and there is strength in this company's future. Now, some of the things that are anticipated for the stock, and a very clear catalyst coming on, is tomorrow for the World Orphan Drug Congress USA 2020 conference. I don't exactly remember when that is happening, so right here, doesn't show. Well, it's more of an entire conference happening tomorrow. The exact schedule you'd have to look up because I don't have that, but there's another thing here happening as well. So in terms of business highlights, we already know about the August 2020, the FDA granted the ODD for OCU400 for the orphan designation. What else we're looking at? So basically that is kind of near catalyst coming on. Now moving on towards common stock. So they did enter an agreement on the 17th to sell 30 million shares. That is not exercised yet, so there is a risk of an offering, of course, but a lot of these stocks do have a risk of an offering. So already mentioned institutional values. One thing that really is interesting for me, and I spent around an hour trying to find an update on this filing. If you have it, please mention it down in the comments below. So they had until June 24th to regain compliance. Obviously, they haven't. Now, there's another thing here that says if the company does not regain compliance by June 24th, 2020, the company may be afforded a second 180-day calendar. And that's what I think is happening. So they have a second 180-day calendar from June 24th. So that puts it July 24th. I'm gonna assume that each day is around 30. Each month is around 30, right? And that gives us 6 months. So that gives us June, July, August, September, and it sets us up till the end of the year. So we do expect perhaps a reverse split down the road. That is an expectation that we have. Now moving on to how I play the stock. This stock is significant in terms of the move it did jump. And you look into towards the 3 months, 1 day, you get to see that that was a significant move where it did really see somewhere above magnitude. So we're talking about 19 cents and it jumps almost to $1. That is insanely significant to me. Would I hold the stock? my risk tolerance says no if I'm buying it from the lower part, but there's a lot of different catalysts coming up. And you get to see here on the MACD and the moving averages look bearish, so I would definitely sell it myself. But there's a golden star happening next Friday. So would you count on the golden star being the only indicator for it to jump in a possible PR and waiting on the PR catalyst, or would you just sell on Monday and try to avoid any negative losses until you get to see more of a confirmation that it did bottom out and it's basically jumping back forward toward that trend? Would you risk an offering? Would you risk a reverse split? That's things that you'd have to ask yourself when you're pushing the stock. What do you think about the sticker? Make sure you mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day.